Hey, what's up? This is Jim Langley. Today I'm excited to show you the super cool PreciRay wheel truing stand. You might have already seen a glimpse of it in my most recent video, which was all about how to use truing stands. If you missed that one, I'll have a link to it at the end. Also, at the end of the instructions to use this unique truing stand, so don't miss that. I'm taking a deep dive into this tool because I think it's fascinating, and I'm also hoping some experts on these stands will watch this and tell us more about it. And I'm definitely not an expert on these truing stands. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing PreciRay correctly. This stand was shipped to me from Germany, disassembled in a box, so to start, I'm assembling it to show the details. I've known about these special truing stands for a long time, but only from pictures. I've never seen one in person or used one in all my years in cycling. This one was made in the 1970s and it's in perfect working condition. I believe a company still in business named Martin's manufactured them. They were distributed by the famous French bike tool maker VAR. The stand says right on it, made in Belgium. I've heard, but haven't been able to verify, that the stand sells for about $1,600 or 1,150 euros. I do not know how you would order or buy one, but maybe somebody will leave a comment telling us. It's almost entirely made of heavy-duty steel. I love the majestic curved tripod base. You can raise and lower the stand in the base to set it to your optimum working height. These are unique truing stands. Unlike almost all others, they aren't made to place on or attach to workbenches. They're too tall for that at about 30 inches or 76 centimeters high. Instead, they're made to proudly stand on the floor. The wheel builder sits on a stool next to it, so it's kind of like a workstation for wheels, the same way a bicycle repair stand is a workstation for fixing bikes. Also, weighing a whopping 51 pounds, 23 kilograms, it's far heavier than any other truing stand I've owned. The benefit of all that weight is that it stays firmly in place on the floor when you're working, and also wheels stay extra stable when you're truing, tensioning, and stress relieving spokes. These features are exceptional, but why this stand is so sought after is because of its ingenious truing gauge with indicators. According to the instructions, once a mechanic, even a rookie, gets used to how to read the gauge, they can true a wheel both for lateral and roundness issues in only 5 minutes. That's because you can address both lateral and out of round simultaneously, since both are clearly shown via the 2 needles on the gauge. I'll demonstrate this a little later, so keep watching. There's also a rim centering gauge to ensure your wheels are centered, also called dished. I'll point out all the stand's features as we go along. This gauge is used to mark the rim center point so that while truing you end up with a centered, dished wheel. It moves side to side for different width wheels and up and down for different diameter ones. Here's the feature that makes this stand so next level and allows even beginners to true wheels so long as they understand and follow the instructions, which I show at the very end of this video. What I like is how simple this works, how easy it is to understand, and how ruggedly built it is. The uprights on the stand slide in and out so that you can quickly adjust the stand to accept different width hubs. The built-in gauge lets you preset the stand's width if you know how wide your wheels are. Like the rest of the truing stand, the axle holders are built to last and work really well. I've read that these stands were made to handle moped and even motorcycle wheels, which are way heavier than bicycle wheels. I've got a wheel in the truing stand now, and this is the basic setup. You sit on a stool next to the stand, you look down at the gauge to true, you take your left hand and hold on to the wheel to turn it, and you use your right hand with the spoke wrench in it to make adjustments as you true the wheel. I have another video all about how to use truing stands if you've never used any truing stand before, so you can watch that. That link to that will be coming up at the end. But usually what you do to true a wheel is you spin the wheel and you watch as the wheel spins and you look for high spots and wobble in the wheel. That's what's very different about this truing stand. On this truing stand, you don't need to spin the wheel actually. You can just turn the wheel until the valve stem is there, so you know you have a starting point. And then you can look at the needle in relationship to this red line right here. There's two red lines. This gauge on this side has to do with wobble, side to side, lateral problems. But this needle on this side has to do with roundness issues, whether the rim has a hop in it, or it might have a dip in it, a high spot or a low spot. You start at the valve stem and you look at the needles and look at how they are in relationship to the red line on the gauge. And we find an area that's out. We adjust the nipples and watch the needle on the gauge. See, as I loosen this spoke, see how this needle is getting closer to the red line? If we go around again, we look over here, it's out here too. We bring it in, keep going around. Now it's a little out over here. We adjust the spokes accordingly and we bring it back. That one is a little out. If you turn it the wrong way, you can see the needle move the wrong way. So you can sort of learn. That's what they mean by how a beginner could learn how to true wheels. You're not really looking at the wheel at all. You're just working with the spokes and learning which spoke to turn to get the needle to move the right way. So we've got side to side pretty good. According to the directions, this amplifies the wobble by 3 times. So it looks like we've got a little bit of an issue right here, which would be a low spot. We need to loosen the spokes. There it goes. Even though I have very little experience with this stand, by trial and error, I'm learning how to adjust the spokes to get the wheel round and true. It's a totally different way of truing between a regular truing stand where you just spin the wheel and you sight a gap between the rim and a pointer on the tool. And it's all done by eye. Here we're actually watching the needle and we're truing by the needles. So that's a very interesting difference between a regular truing stand and the PreciRay truing stand. And I can see how you would get used to this. I'm not very used to it. I'm basically experimenting as I go along to see what puts the needle in the right place. But I can see how with a little practice you could just start the wheel at the valve hole and you could adjust each spoke nipple one at a time around the wheel. There's 32 in this wheel. And with 32 turns of the nipples, you could end up with a nice true wheel the first time, which is very different than spinning a wheel and looking at the pointer. The thing about this that's most different is that you see both changes in lateral and radial at the same time. So you can set a regular truing stand up so you can see the roundness and hop issues and the side-to-side issues at the same time, but it's not quite as easy to see it or to see what your adjustments are doing. On this stand, as you tighten any nipple, you'll see that, or loosen any one, you'll see that both needles have a tendency to change a little bit. See how the wheel is changing as I just loosen one nipple? And it's showing me that it changed laterally and it also changed radially, which makes sense. Every adjustment of any nipple affects all the other nipples and affects the whole the roundness and the trueness of the wheel. So you could get pretty good with this, you could get pretty fast with this, and I can see why they would use it in a production wheel shop where they have to knock out a lot of wheels in a big hurry. I find it pretty ingenious, and I'm going to have fun learning how to use it better. I hope you liked seeing this PreciRay truing stand, and I hope if you're an expert on PreciRay truing stands, you'll comment and tell me more about it. I appreciate you watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.